The story of Herod beheading John the Baptist is probably familiar to most of us. I found it tempting to stay with the superficial aspects of the narrative since it is so familiar. However, because we are asked to go deeper in prayerful reflection, several new aspects of the story surfaced as I spent some time with it. Since Jesus and John the Baptist were cousins, I assumed an emotional bond between the two. Perhaps they played together as children, although they probably lived a good distance from each other. We know that Jesus sought out John the Baptist in the Jordan, an event that revealed the Father's love for Jesus and which started Jesus on his life's mission. So, when Jesus was told of the death of John, the impact had to be strong. How did Jesus handle his grief? He retreated to a place where he could be alone, most likely to pray and process his grief. In today's world, I imagine many people grieving at the unjust murder of their loved ones, and they resort to violence and anger and sometimes even a loss of faith. The inciting event that led to John's murder sprung from Herod's impetuous, perhaps incestuous desire to please his wife's daughter, to express his pleasure on seeing her dance for him and his assembled crowd. He rashly promised the girl anything she wished. Consulting her mother, the girl responded that she wished the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Herod was aghast, but his pride wouldn't let him deny her his promise. He had to save face in front of the assembly. So a thoughtless promise sprung from misguided desires and fear of losing status resulted in a gruesome outcome. I review my promises that I make to others and to myself for what lies beneath as the true motive. I'll say, I'll call you, or we must get together soon, or I will drive carefully, and don't worry, I'll be back in time. Promises often made to get one's way, to appease, to be socially correct, but not necessarily honest. False promises harm, destroy trust, and communication becomes a farce. Relationships based on a slippery false promise are not relationships at all, and I certainly can cast the first stone at myself. Years ago, I promised myself that I would pray for an hour each day. Of course, I found excuses. Too tired, too busy, etc., etc. When I finally, and I mean finally, realized what I was doing, no matter the lateness or the desire to avoid living up to my promise just this once, I surrendered. Now it is my deep pleasure to pray for an hour every day, often for someone I know needs prayer, sometimes telling one who's been exceptionally kind that day that I will pray for them and their intentions. And I never get an angry response. The promise I have wrestled against for years has become a great consolation and a blessing for me. Wishing you all good promises. Amen.